With the new movie Project Hail Mary released a few days back, we are here to discuss the alien species and the spaceships that appeared in the movie. If you have seen the trailer, you would know what Rocky is, but here we will discuss in detail about his species and two others as well as the spaceships that are key to the story. So let's get to it. We begin with the first alien species, the Astrophage. This is a tiny alien life form in Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. It's kind of like a space microbe or an algae, but they are the reason the stars are dimming in a certain sector of the Milky Way galaxy. They originally came from a planet called Eridian from the Tau Ceti system and that spread to other stars like Sol and 40 Eridani. What makes them so scary is that they live on the surface of stars and they feed on their energy, which slowly makes the star dimmer. When a star loses brightness, the planets around it get colder, and that can cause massive extinction level events if life depends on that star, like what was starting to happen to Earth here in the story. Astrophage can even travel through space in a spore-like form, jumping from one star system to another as long as it is within an 8 light-year range. Its life cycle is pretty wild. It absorbs energy from a star until it is full, then travels to a nearby planet rich in carbon dioxide like Venus, where it reproduces, and then both the parent and the new cells go back to the star to repeat the process. These astrophage, which is just another word for star eater, are really scary even though they're small. Around stars like Sol, they appear as a sort of a faint blackish band or patch that blocks out some of the light, almost like a thin layer or a stain on the star's surface. When they are active and releasing energy, they can give off a very dim infrared glow called the Petrova light, which humans can only detect with special instruments and not with normal vision. In spacecraft engines like the Hail Mary, the astrophage is used as fuel. It looks like a dark coating that suddenly flashes with energy when activated. Overall, if you could somehow see a large amount of astrophage, it would look like a strange mix between soot, liquid shadow, and a faint glowing mist, rather than anything solid or clearly shaped. Under a microscope, if they are still alive, they appear as totally black balls, like individually, but upon death, their insides become visible as the black wall becomes transparent. Funny enough, they appear just like any eukaryotic cell, which means they have a nucleus, DNA, and even mitochondria, as well as many other types of cell organelles. So even though it's dangerous, the astrophage is also incredibly useful because of its unique biology. It can store huge amounts of energy by turning energy into mass and then back into energy, again with almost no loss, which makes it basically the perfect battery. Each tiny cell can hold about 1.5 million joules of energy. It also moves by shooting out energy in a special infrared wavelength, which humans use to power spacecraft engines like the Hail Mary ship. Another amazing thing is that the astrophage always stay at a specific temperature, about 96.4 degrees Celsius, so it can act like a superheat absorber or even a heat source depending on the environment. On top of that, it can block radiation almost completely. Even things like neutrinos cannot pass through it, which makes it useful for protecting spacecraft. So the astrophage is both a huge threat to life in the universe and also an incredibly powerful tool, well, depending on how it is used. Now the next species is the Taumoeba. This is the next species from the same planet as the astrophage from Adrian, and in a way it is the Hail Mary of the story. This species is a tiny alien microorganism that comes from the planet Adrian in the Tau Ceti system, and it plays a super important role in the story. It lives high up in Adrian's atmosphere and doesn't have a fixed shape, kind of like an amoeba, which is actually where its name came from, Tau Ceti, amoeba, Taumoeba. What makes Taumoeba so special is that it is the only known natural predator of the astrophage, the dangerous microbe that is draining energy from stars. Because Taumoeba feeds on astrophage, it keeps its population in check and under control in the Tau Ceti system, which is why that star isn't being dim like others. This makes Taumoeba incredibly important because it might be the key to saving stars like Sol and Eridani and stopping a huge disaster for life on many planets. However, it has a weakness, and that is nitrogen, because nitrogen is very toxic to it. So scientists have to be really careful when studying or using it, especially when it comes to saving the entire planet, as Earth is a planet with the majority of the atmosphere being composed of nitrogen. Okay, so now the third species are the eridians. These are one of the alien species from Project Hail Mary and its movie adaptation, which was just released a few days back. They come from a planet called Erid in the 40 Eridani star system, which is one of many stars that were dimmed by the Astrophage. Their bodies are shaped like a low round shell, which is called a carapace, and they exist with 5 legs sticking out evenly around it, like a star shape. Each leg can bend and move in flexible ways, and they end in a claw that can either grip things or act like a foot for walking. Their whole body is covered in a hard outer shell, like an insect, and they can even shed parts of their bodies as they grow. These eridians are about 50 centimeters tall normally, but they can stand taller by balancing on some legs and reaching up on others. These eridians are very unusual life forms because most of their body isn't even made of living matter. Instead of being made entirely of cells like humans, they have tiny worker cells that act like builders and repair crews, while the rest of their body is mostly inorganic, like minerals and metal. Their outer shell or carapace is made of a tough, oxidized mineral material, and their internal structure is more like metal bones with real hinged joints instead of flexible ones. Even their muscles don't work like ours. They move by using changes in water states to repeat motion or create motion. It's almost like if a colony of tiny organisms were building a strong mobile body for themselves and then develop a brain to control it. Even though an eridian can weigh around 400 kilograms, the actual living part inside of it is less than 1 kilogram, which makes it more like a small pilot running a powerful mechanical body. And instead of something like blood, the circulatory medium around the body is made mostly of liquid mercury. They are indeed an intelligent and sentient life form. They have a really strange and cool brain that's nothing like a human brain because it isn't made of cells at all. Instead, it is made of crystal. Their brain sits in the center of their body in a place called the colony, where tiny worker cells take care of it all the time. Instead of using electricity like we do, their brain sends signals using light, almost like a fiber optic system, which beams out light bouncing and bending through the crystal to carry information. When it comes to intelligence, eridians are super smart in some ways and not really as strong in others compared to humans. They are amazing at multitasking. They can do totally different things at the same time without getting confused. And they have an incredible memory, especially for math, so they can instantly recall answers instead of calculating them. But they're not as good as focusing on one task at a time for a long time. And they aren't really great at things like throwing or aiming objects. They experience the world in a totally different way from humans because they can't see at all. They have no eyes and can't detect light. Instead, they rely incredibly on advanced hearing to see their surroundings. Their body is covered in tiny structures that pick up sound, which lets them build a detailed 3D picture of everything around them using echolocation like a bat, but way more precise. Even small noises help them understand shapes, distances, and what objects are made of. And if it's too quiet, they'll tap on the ground to create sound themselves. They can also sense magnetic fields, which helps them always know direction, like having a built-in compass. When it comes to talking, eridians communicate using sound made of special gas bladders inside their bodies, and they can produce multiple tones at once, like musical chords, because they have 5 voices. This makes their language super rich and efficient, so they can say things much faster than humans. They even have the perfect pitch, which means they can tell exact notes apart as easily as we tell colors apart. So Rocky is an eridian engineer, and he is one of the 2 most important characters in the story. Rocky is about the size of a big dog, a Labrador, with a rough, Rocky-like body, with 5 spider-like limbs and no eyes, as he is a normal member of the eridian species. Rocky is in space for the same reason as the human astronaut Ryland Grace is. His species is trying to save their homeworld from the dangerous organism called the Astrophage that is draining energy from their star. His mission is to travel to the Tau Ceti system to study why that star isn't being affected in the same way, hoping to find a solution to save his people. When he meets Grace, the 2 work together despite being completely different species, forming a strong friendship while combining their knowledge to solve the mystery and to try to save their own worlds. Even though he spent about 46 Earth years alone in space on his ship called the Blip A, he stayed mentally strong, which shows how tough and focused he is, especially on saving his race. He is also very smart and loves engineering, often building and inventing things quickly to solve problems, and he is the main reason as to why maybe the eridians and humanity would solve the problem later on. Now that we are done with alien species, let's get on to spaceships. And there are 2 spaceships in this story. The first, of course, is humanity's Hail Mary. This is a long cylindrical spaceship designed for a desperate mission to the Tau Ceti system to find a way to stop the Astrophage from dimming our sun. The ship looks like a tall tower with two main parts. At the very bottom are three big cylindrical fuel tanks lined up side by side, and each one has multiple powerful spin drives attached at the back. The front of the ship is shaped like a cone, and overall, the Hail Mary looks more like a functional industrial space machine than a sleek sci-fi ship, built for survival, research, and a one-way mission to save humanity. The Hail Mary creates artificial gravity in two clever ways and uses a unique engine system powered by the Astrophage itself. During most of its journey, it generates gravity by simply accelerating towards forward at about 1.5 times Earth's gravity using its engines. When needed, the ship can also split into two sections connected by long cables and spin around, which creates gravity through, centrifugal force. Now, the most interesting feature is its engines, which are called the spin drives, and they work in a really unusual way. They use light to control astrophage fuel. First, the engine attracts astrophage onto a surface using specific wavelengths of light, then rotates that surface outward and blasts it with stronger light, causing the astrophage to release energy and push the ship forward. After that, the used up astrophage is removed and the cycle repeats. With over 1,000 of these spin drives working side by side together, the Hail Mary can travel huge interstellar distances incredibly efficiently. Now, the next ship is the Blip A. This is the large spaceship used by Rocky to travel to the Tau Ceti system with the same goal as the Hail Mary, to search for a way to stop astrophage from dimming out the star in 40 Eridani. This ship is much bigger than the Hail Mary, about 3 times longer, reaching around 139 meters. It's mainly built from a super strong material called xenonite, which is made from xenon and can come in many different colors and can even be transparent, even though the Eridians don't care about how it looks since they can't really see. Xenonite is incredibly tough, almost impossible to break, and this makes the ship very durable and able to handle the high pressure, up to about 28 times Earth's atmosphere, that Eridians need to survive. The Blip A also carries a massive amount of astrophage fuel, way more than needed because the Eridians didn't fully understand space physics or radiation risks at the time. For flying, it uses astrophage as propulsion, similar to the human spaceship, though the exact engine design isn't fully explained. It likely uses the same idea for releasing energy to push the ship forward. This powerful fuel lets the Blip A travel between stars, but sadly, most of its crew didn't survive the journey due to radiation, which left only one survivor, Rocky, who continued the mission alone. Now, with that, we come to the end of this video. Now, do hit the like button for support, and also for the ones holding their phones in their hands. Well, you know the drill, the hype option, hype button. I don't know what it does, but apparently it does something to the channel. It maybe pushes the content further. I don't know, maybe, but it'll be helpful if you press it. Also, subscribe to be a part of Legion Nutbug. Until the next time, take care, boys.